This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place. Welcome to this week's episode of This is a Place podcast. My name is Nate.
And I'm Spicy Tuna.
Spicy tuna.
Yeah, did you not watch the...
I did,
Okay.
but to be honest with you, I thought you were doing like an Office reference. Big tuna.
That's big tuna.
That's true. So that's where my mind went. But happy...
This is actually Brandon, not Spicy Tuna.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. We got spicy tuna on. Well, happy Bring Flowers to Someone Day.
Where's my flowers, Nate?
Well, you don't bring me flowers anymore.
I should say, you and Matt actually do give your wife flowers. I
We
always
do.
forget to give my wife flowers.
Yeah.
Because early on in our marriage, she told me she didn't really like flowers. It's more that she didn't like roses, but I heard I don't like flowers. So I always remember to not get her flowers.
Yeah. Well, my wife always asks why I don't buy her flowers. And I said, I didn't know you sold flowers. Come on. That's a good one.
Ba-dum-ching.
Ba-dum, woo.
Should I bring back the sound effect?
Ba-dum-ching. Yeah, I need to get my soundboard thing working so we can get some sound effects
Oh yeah, get that rim shot loaded up.
ready to go. But yeah, I guess you need to head to your local flower shop and get your wife some flowers.
Hopefully you got her some this last Sunday, at least.
Ooh, good point.
If you forgot about Mother's Day completely, yeah, you really better get some flowers.
That's pretty. I think that's a tough one to forget because it's
Yeah,
a national thing. But
right.
birthdays, anniversaries,
A little bit easier.
a little bit easier to forget. But I
Agreed.
feel like from November till Mother's Day, there's just like way too many opportunities to buy my wife a gift because of birthdays, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day. And
Yeah.
then there's like nothing from after Mother's Day till November, which is kind of nice. I get a little break, but at the same time, it's rough to have to figure out so many different flower purchases
Yeah.
to get. But luckily I have a friend in the diamond business.
We haven't done a Shane Company episode yet.
We have not,
I don't think
but
Shane Company is actually a local thing,
I don't think they are either. I think
but
they're a national brand, but it
but
feels like it
still,
is. It
because
feels
of
like it
the
is.
commercial, it just fits.
Well, I bet you they put a lot of more marketing dollars in Utah for obvious reasons. But have you heard the new? I don't know. I don't think it's Shane Company, but there's an ad on the radio right now talking about how because of COVID, there was less diamond sales because nobody was dating or getting engaged. So they have a surplus of diamonds, and you'll never see diamond prices this low ever again. So
So they
maybe
keep
we need
saying
to
about
stock up on some
mattresses.
diamonds. Mattresses.
There's always a sale. They're always finding their angle.
All I know is that the Shane Company on State Street, every time I drive by it, I'm reminded of there was a video store there. And I still
Where it
remember them.
is?
Yeah, they had that little electronic sign on the top of the building that
Oh,
would
like
say like,
a
and it like would say
billboard.
words or like, anyways. So I just remember saying Princess Bride coming soon. And I was like so excited for that to come out in VHS. So that was like what, 1987-ish? So, but that's all I think about when I see that building is the VHS store, rental store that used to be there. I've never gone to Shane Company and actually shop for a diamond or anything there.
I actually went. I didn't buy anything, but I did go when I was shopping, just because of the recognition, it was in my mind.
Yeah,
If you wanted to know, I found the details. It started in Colorado, so pretty close
that's basically the same
to
thing.
Utah. Just like how you follow a Colorado team in the NHL
Yes, which
for
is
now.
I literally before we got on the pocket earlier tonight because the Avalanche are playing as we speak, recording this. So I don't know. Maybe next week, by the time this thing, not next, sorry, by the time maybe we record this, they might have moved on, or by the time we release this, they might have moved on, or been knocked out. But I think this is the last season that I can really give full effort to the Avalanche.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
think
be
so.
it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be my first test of faith. See, I mean, we're all preparing for that football team to come, right?
Mm.
And that one's gonna be the hardest for me whenever football comes. I think I'll be okay with baseball. The hockey I'll be okay with, but football is gonna be really hard for me to move past and get on
What
board.
about the pro pickleball team?
There's so, man, the pickleball landscape is getting weird. There's just so it will finally it will work itself out over the next 5 to 10 years, but it's funny for a sport that's old as it is, how new it is.
Yeah,
And um yeah, it will start to work itself out because there's it's kind of like it reminds me of that movie of Will Ferrell where they're trying to be like this pro league and compete with the NBA, but they can't. So there's like all these,
semi-pro.
yeah, semi-pro, but there's all these professional leagues and stuff they're trying to start and get going, and it will just change over the years, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be like breaking up a marriage, and then you're gonna see your ex come to town every few months, and you don't know if you're supposed to cheer for them or
Hope they have a terrible life.
hate them. We'll
Yeah,
find out what happens. But it would be good though. I'll tell you what though, because it's hard for me. There's no other like NBA team because I grew up with the Jazz. I never had a chance to attach myself to another NBA team.
right.
So I guess in that aspect, if the Utah hockey team, whatever they're going to be called, don't make the playoffs or get knocked out of the playoffs, it's nice to have maybe a backup to like pay attention to. So I guess at that point I could jump on the bandwagon with the Avalanche if they're in the playoffs as well. Hopefully that's not the case and we just win it all. Maybe we do what
It's
the Vegas Knights did and we win it within a few years of starting.
maybe. But luckily for us, we already have a friend in the business, the hockey business, and his name is Austin, and he's got a podcast called SLC Puck. But he was nice enough to come on and talk with us a little bit about his podcast, I guess his ability to do a podcast and do it well for something like this. And we just had a good time talking with him. All right, today we have the privilege to speak with Austin Facer, who is the expert, the mastermind behind SLC Puck. Welcome, Austin. We're so happy to be talking with you today.
Yeah, thanks. I've been trying to kick around some titles for my business card. I was thinking tycoon,
Mm.
but mastermind and expert, I think could also fit really nicely on the card. So, I appreciate that inspiration.
Throw them on, lots of commas. No one will bat
Uh-huh.
an eye.
Yep. Front and back.
First things first, the name. Aside from the
Mhm.
movie reference, how did you settle on that name?
Yeah, it was so funny how it happened where it just was kind of like a jolt of inspiration. I kind of saw some people kicking ideas around on Twitter, and I've seen SLC Punk a couple times as well.
You have to.
And yeah, I mean, they don't let you get your driver's license here, unless you've seen SLC Punk. But
I haven't seen it.
uh, you better not be driving then. We better get you off the roads.
I drive him everywhere. It's okay.
Good,
That's true.
good. That's as you should. But it just was so weird. I was just walking around Sugar House Park, and it was it was about a couple days before the announcement was made. It was probably because I think the announcement was made like April 18th, and I was just walking around Sugar House Park. It was probably the week before, and I was like, I wonder if anybody's bought the URL SLC Puck yet. And just on my phone, I just go to GoDaddy.com and I just search to see if it was available. And I almost fell down into the little creek in the middle of the park when I saw it was available and only like $20. I was like, holy crap. And so like I got the credit card out of my wallet like as fast as I could, like punched in the information, and was like almost like shaking, like how like excited I was to like have, this intellectual property that just kind of fell into my lap. And um, it's been cool because I think like having that name and um, the catchiness of it has been pretty helpful in getting me excited about doing this podcast. And I think it reflects in the content. So it was just kind of fun how it worked out.
So I know you guys were talking before I jumped on the call, but tell me who you are. Like, what's your background, Austin? Where'd you grow up? What have you been doing
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
last couple decades?
Yeah, I'm on decade 4 right now, so I'm gonna be 32 this summer. So, I grew up in Centerville. Have kind of a interesting sports background. My dad was a sports writer at the Deseret News for about 25 years. Dirk Facer, if that rings a bell to anybody. So he covered University of Utah football, basketball for almost 20 years, just that beat alone. And growing up, my dad made his job like such a huge part of my life. And I remember when I was little, my dad was always taking me to Utah football practices. The years when Urban Meyer was there were really huge for me. Urban Meyer became like a buddy of mine, like as like a 10-year-old. That was pretty fun. He was like tossing my hair, like, "Hey, what's up? Good to see you, Austin." That kind of thing. And so I always like was in love with like sports and sports media just from being around it with my dad. And um, went to Viewmont High School, did an LDS mission in Orange County in Anaheim. Came home, went to the U, graduated there, and started my own little sports media career. I interned for David Locke as the voice of the radio jazz, or the radio voice of the Jazz, and had some other media jobs and jobs in sports along the way. Um, my sports career never was what my dad's was, and that was always kind of a little bit of a bummer to me. But now I have like a great job. I work in public relations, and I really enjoy it, and gives me the creative outlet to kind of pursue these stuff like SLC Puck, like stuff that I have always was really into from when I was little.
Now, okay, I remember when your dad passed away. It was
Yeah,
not too long ago, right?
yeah, March 2023, March 15th.
2023. And you guys,
Mhm.
this isn't your first podcast. Didn't you have and your dad have a podcast together?
Yes, you really did your research. Yeah,
I used
yeah,
to listen to it back when a
Holy
couple
cow,
years
you
ago.
you were the guy. Wow, you were the one who listened to it. Amazing. No, yeah, yeah.
Didn't connect the dots, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's so funny. Yeah, obviously, my dad got laid off during COVID, and that was kind of a hard time for him. And I wasn't working, a lot at the time either. So we are both kind of out on the outside looking in the media world, and that was it was a fun outlet for us I put just like with SLC Puck, we came with a dumb name. This is the Play Sports. Built a website for us to write on. Still stay sharp. Use our chops and do a podcast together. Bought the Rodecaster Pro. Some microphones. Invited a bunch of my dad's other sports writing friends and people we knew to join us, and we had a lot of fun doing that together. And as his health deteriorated, as we couldn't do it as much or as well as we wanted to, but it was definitely that's. I'm glad you asked about that, because yeah, that's a good memory that I have hanging out. One of my last really great memories of my dad.
I think I came across it because our names are so similar. It's hard to, this is a place, this is the place. They're
Yeah,
really close, so
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, well, thanks for not suing us for copyright infringement or whatever. That was something my dad was always terrified of. He was like the folks at the monument place are gonna come down and drill us, and I was like, it'll be all right. So,
See, that's our edge is we put a "" instead of a "the." So,
there you go.
can they
Yeah,
really sue
smart.
us? Probably, but
Yeah. Good, good, good. That blows me away that you again, like that's kind of what's making SLC Puck so weird to me is it's already like doing like considerably like much better than the podcast me and my dad did together. I kind of thought nobody would ever notice the podcast me and my dad did. So, it was just mostly just for the two of us to have fun.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. Yeah, that gets me excited.
So Anaheim, Spanish speaking?
Correct. Yeah. From July 2011 to July 2013.
So you do any podcasts in Spanish then? The sports for Spanish or soccer or anything like that?
What's funny is when I interned for David Locke, one of my responsibilities was to be the statistician for the visiting Spanish broadcasts. So
Hmm.
there's a few teams in the NBA that carry a Spanish broadcast. Not all of them do. You can imagine like teams like the Lakers. I think the Spurs do. The Heat definitely have a Spanish broadcast, and so I did use my Spanish in the media realm there. I would have to have the headphones on, listening to the announcer call a game in Spanish. I'd be taking notes during the game and passing them post-it notes of like, trends and all that during the game. So I have used my Spanish in my sports media career, weirdly. Um, I would imagine I'm pretty rusty though. I don't really get to speak it
Yeah.
as often as I probably should.
Well, I'm sure it was a transition to go from speaking gospel Spanish to now learning the terms
Yeah,
for sports.
yeah, it is. When I was on my mission though, I made like a really strong emphasis to be like grammatically perfect. So
Hmm.
which helps a lot too if you want to speak good English. And so as you can kind of pick up clues too, as
It's
you
actually
go.
be speak English well, not to correct you, but
Uh, See, there you go.
Me
See,
speak good too.
it's still a learning process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So maybe I need to learn a little more Spanish to get better at my English.
Well,
I
it's
don't
funny.
know.
I'm horrible at English, but learning Spanish, I'm like, oh, that's
Oh,
why they
that's why
do it.
you do that.
That's why
Yeah.
you
yeah,
do it this way. Like,
Like
oh,
all the
that's why.
participles make more sense, and like
Yeah,
you line up your tenses better. It helps with your writing too, more
yeah.
than anything, to learn another language.
it's pretty
Well,
cool.
when you decide to do another one, I know you've got your hands full with SLC Puck. The three of us can get together and we can do a Spanish. We could do
Yeah, I got to
a
figure out what this.
sports Spanish or just some Spanish, you know?
Yeah,
Just
I got to figure out what the translation for puck is in Spanish. If there's a word for
ooh,
that.
Oh yeah, I never thought of that.
yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, that would be kind of a good gag to play on the people who are listening to me now. Would just be to do just out of the blue, just just randomly do an episode entirely in Spanish.
We did an intro in
I don't
Spanish
know.
once, didn't we? Yeah, we did a whole
I
intro
think
in
we did.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Or was
We
it
did
Cinco
up.
de Mayo or something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Well, cool.
Yeah.
one more thing before we get, I guess, really into what we should
Oh
be
boy.
talking about, hockey. You have to
Sure.
tell us about how many times you got to go to Disneyland on your mission.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I was telling you, Brandon, just before we started that one of the big rule, it was probably pretty much the only special rule for the
Special mission, yeah.
California Anaheim rule, or for the California Anaheim mission, was that we weren't allowed on Disney property. And
Isn't that
we're
Anaheim as a whole? Isn't that Disney? Kidding.
a large part of it, right? Actually, you would not believe how big Disney is there. I'm sure you would actually, but yeah, like the reason why, like I thought it was something like, oh, they just don't want us to be distracted from doing the good work or whatever. But the actual reason why I found is pretty funny. I guess back in the day when downtown Disney was new, and that's the outdoor mall that's between the two parks.
Right.
Um, I guess missionaries figured out that if they went to downtown Disney and just walked up and down in their proselyting clothes, that they could get families to hand them
Mm.
money for like lunch or dinner. And so they would just go and walk up and down the mall all day, and they could stuff their pockets with twenty
Oh,
dollar
so they're
bills.
they're panhandling. Well, it makes
That's
They
sense
could.
because like isn't
amazing.
80% of the people there from Utah, or have a tie
It
to
seems
Utah?
like it. Yeah, yeah. And
So
there's a huge LDS contingent there, but I mean, those. I mean, that's the big misnomer with missionaries is that they're like, they're very focused. They're hardworking. I don't
No.
know if you guys did missions, but that's definitely not the case. Like, there's still a bunch of like 18,
yeah,
19-year-old,
there's
20-year-old
yeah, exactly. There's still
clowns.
humans out there, right? There's still
Yeah,
humans.
Yeah, it's just being on the mission and like seeing that I was all surrounded by a bunch of immature idiots. I was like, oh, I completely believe that there were guys just,
Oh,
you know, making a cottage industry out of walking around
yeah,
It's
Disney
yeah.
property
crazy.
in there.
I mean,
So I thought that the reasoning
Smart,
that I
actually.
was like, oh, so smart. Yeah, good for those kids. Yeah,
yeah,
whoever figured that out. So
Paid for
I
their
yeah.
think
whole college tuition when they got home.
maybe, or maybe just like some contraband, like like a PlayStation or something to their
Yeah,
apartment. I don't
there
know.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
I
think I think Salt Lake had to get involved until when the word got out that hey, we can't have the guys panhandling like you said.
they're they're paying for their whole mission in 1 month.
They could. I mean, it's. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was there and people would just hand us. I mean, I don't know where you guys did your missions, but people just handed you money all the time.
Yeah, they weren't giving you money in New
No,
Jersey.
no, no.
I
They
mean,
were
there's
asking
so
for
many.
money.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Southern California, a lot of those people do pretty well, and they're LDS, so they're happy to give us whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well, if
it's
I could
pretty
have
funny.
picked a mission, that's one I would have picked was like Anaheim and then again, New York was the other one I would have picked too, Brandon. So you guys both went to
It's
where
close enough.
I would have picked,
Mhm.
but I'm with you, Austin. Like before, I know this isn't talking about our missions, but before I went on a mission, I thought all missionaries, return missionaries, were like walked on water. They were like on a higher level
No,
because you know what
couldn't
I
be
mean. And then
any.
I got the same thing in the mission, like, oh wait, yeah, we're still kids, we're still human, still make
And just to be
mistakes.
clear, I'm drinking a little glass of wine right now, so that tells you how my where I'm at on my spiritual journey. So
Fair enough. Well, why SLC Puck? Why are you focusing on hockey? Do you have a background in hockey or just sports in
yeah,
general?
yeah. Again, I was telling this to Brandon before we started. When I was, it was so interesting to be. The stories all connect in my mind, and I'll try to convey that. But when I was little, I was just mesmerized by the Mighty Ducks movies,
Yeah.
and I think I wore out the VHS copy that we had at my house. I think we probably went through two or three VHS copies, and I really wanted to try it when I was little. So my mom and dad got me signed up for hockey when I was probably about 7 or 8, and that started like a 10-year run for me where we were like every weekend for like my whole life. And then like almost every at one point I was playing hockey 5 or 6 days a week.
Wow.
It was just my whole life, and all the way from 8 to 18. Played like little league hockey.
Hmm.
Through high school, we had a really good high school team at Beaumont. And then some competitive stuff, but hockey was the sport that I loved growing up, and it was fun because we're from Centerville, and at the time, there was a lot to be excited about then. The Olympics were getting big around that time in 2002. Um, I found players and teams that I really liked. I remember the Scholastic Book Fair. The librarian at my elementary school knew she could order a few hockey books at the book fair just for me to buy.
Nice.
But it was kind of fun because it made me like unique and I guess interesting among my classmates. Because at J. Taylor Elementary, I was literally the only kid in the school who played hockey. There were very few kids at Centerville Junior who played hockey. Beaumont High School, again, not a ton of kids. We had a really great team, and hockey was just such a huge part of my life growing up. And you get older, and we kind of focus on other things, mission, college, career, and stuff like that. I'm at a point in my life where like I have some time and a little bit of disposable income to put into like a thing like SLC Puck, and um, that's why I'm doing it and just having a lot of fun doing it. It kind of
So who?
blends like all my passions, like my dad, sports media, hockey growing up, all that stuff. So
It's awesome. What was I going to say? Oh, who's your NHL team for now for the next
for
six
now,
months? Well, I
Hold
guess
on,
maybe
hold
the
on.
next month and a half.
Before
oh,
you
for
get
the
Month
into
and a
that,
listeners,
half. Okay,
I
fine.
do
What
have
do
a
you got, Brandon?
question.
yeah.
So you do if you do have an allegiance, Is your
Yeah.
allegiance switching 100% to the Utah team?
I think it has to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has
Just
to.
got to get that out because there's some debate about
Yeah.
that.
I
Some of
mean,
our
I mean,
listeners.
what I mean, as long and that's kind of the funny thing. Is I've kind of thought about that as I've been doing the podcast. I think that like we'll definitely talk a lot about the new team, but I also really kind of want to put a focus on celebrating the sport in as a whole in the
Hmm.
state because I think the interest is going to be all over.
Yeah,
I actually
100%.
think this is going to really benefit like the Utah Grizzlies are going to really
Mm.
see a big increase in their ticket sales. I really do. I think like youth hockey is going to explode.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be two new rinks in Sandy when they open their facility at Southtown Mall. Um, so I mean, that's kind of like my ambition. That's kind of why it's like named the way it is.
Yeah.
SLC Puck. It kind of opens the door to talking about hockey in general. I imagine, but again, I imagine a large part of the conversation will be about the NHL team. But I would love to get some Grizzlies talk. I know the University of Utah has a club hockey team that does really well.
Hmm.
BYU has had a club hockey team that has played well. There's some junior teams. I mean, there is a hockey scene here, and I think
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to really be in the spotlight, and they're going to. I think everybody's going to benefit from getting the big leagues in town.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the last 20 years it's grown quite a bit. And I think it's just going to get even bigger where it kind of stinks here in Utah for the fact that if you're in high school, probably same for you, you had to play club, right? And that's
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, it is.
And
Mm-hmm.
everything because you got to pay for ice time, you got to all
Yep,
that stuff. So I
100%.
I kind of have a prediction, or my crystal ball says within 10 years, I think we'll see the high schools sanction hockey and have their own hockey teams. So that's what I'm
That would
hoping
be
for.
so crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because
Because you can
yeah,
do
I mean,
boys and girls, so you don't have to worry about
yeah,
that whole,
hmm
yeah,
yeah,
equality
because
thing.
yeah, when I was coming up at Viewmont, we were club, and there were probably about 40 other high schools that had were
Yeah.
able to get clubs together. So it was still a pretty good
Yeah,
league.
every almost every high
But
school has a team or club or some club you can go play on, but
Yeah.
it's I mean compared to playing
the expenses are
football,
crazy, though.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, that's the
yeah,
problem. You got to pay
truly.
for everything.
And
So,
that's the big hurdle, I think, is that hockey has like kind of a high barrier of entry
uh-huh.
in terms of like the equipment, the time, even the rules. But it's still a sport that like I think a lot of people find like mesmerizing, and it's for a lot of different reasons. I think like the physicality, the speed,
Yeah.
the skill. I think it's hard to look away from a hockey game, even if you don't really understand what's happening. And I think we're like seeing that in a small way now as people are talking about it. When they drop the puck, the end of September or whatever, it's people are going to really fall in love with hockey around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think it's hard like right now to watch if you're not a hockey fan or a sports
It's
fan in
hard on
general to watch
TV.
on
Yeah,
TV, just like
yeah,
baseball. But
hmm
hockey when you go and watch it live, and baseball's the same way for me as well. It's a different experience. It's fun. I mean, watching the Grizzlies is it's fun for me, and I
yeah,
know it's fun for a lot of other people too. But when you watch the high level guys play, it's a different
yeah.
game.
It's
So
amazing.
yeah, I'm excited for it to grow, and I wish for me personally that it would have been part of the high school. So I probably would have. I grew up working at classic skating, so I played
Oh, cool.
roller all the time, and I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
switch
yeah.
over to playing ice until after my mission. Um, but I feel like if there was a sport where maybe I would have a chance to at least get like a college scholarship or play on the college team because I have a body for a hockey player. I don't have a body
Yeah,
for
I can only
football.
see you from the shoulders up, but I
Yeah.
the hair is also influencing,
Yes.
my assessment of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember when I was a junior in high school, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am the same height and weight as Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky, holy
Oh,
crap.
yeah.
So I have you know what I mean? But football, I didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Basketball, there's no way because I have to be 6'9"
Yeah, that helps.
um and all the other sports. But I'm like, hockey is like, yeah, that's a sport, and I'm pretty gritty. I like hitting people,
Mhm.
all that good stuff. So I'm kind of wish we were I was 30 years behind so that I could benefit from this.
Yeah, and I've heard that from so many of my friends who didn't play hockey in high school. Like a lot of my friends were guys who played football and basketball, and I've heard from multiple guys who were like one of my buddies who was like the middle linebacker at Beaumont. He loves hockey now, and he always tells me how badly he wished he had gotten into it at the same age I did. Because I think
Yeah,
it's hard when you're like a teenager. You want to like you have to skate to play hockey. You have to know how to skate well, and that
yeah,
takes probably about a year, maybe two, to get good at. And again, the barrier to entry is really high, but it's a sport that people just love. And you're right. When you're in person, you get it. It makes perfect sense.
that's cool. Are you still playing or are you done?
I go to like stick and puck every once in a while, like
Okay.
at Steiner or whatever. I'm not on the team. I know a bunch of my friends who were on the team at Beaumont still have a team, and they play out at the Oval together.
Okay, cool.
They told me I could drop by. I haven't. I don't know. It would be. I feel like I should. If I'm going to do this podcast and sort of have a face in the hockey community, I think I need to show up at the rink.
Yeah, yeah. I stopped playing ice probably about 10 years ago. It's a long story, but I found out that they have a roller team or league over at the Taylorsville Rec Center.
Oh,
So it kind of
okay. Good to know.
fills that
Yeah.
little itch I have. It's not the same, but it's still hockey.
Yeah.
Still still gets you
Well,
out there. But
Well, I interrupted. You never said. So, who is your current team, if
oh
you
yeah.
have one?
Oh man, I was kind of bummed out that the who's he what's it the Golden Knights got eliminated.
Mm,
Because I went, I really like what they do in terms of like their look and their presentation, and
mhm,
the on ice product is pretty good too. They won the Stanley Cup. They're pretty good.
no big
yeah,
deal.
they know what they're
Within like
doing.
what within like
Yeah,
5 years of being a
yeah,
franchise.
yeah. I mean, you could say they're probably the most successful sports team of all time. Um, I think right now I like the Avalanche. I'm totally, I think people are going to find, here's my advice to you. If you want to get into hockey, if I would figure out who the stars are, right? Figure out like each
The
team probably
Dallas
has
Stars.
like
I
a
know
guy.
that one.
Yeah.
You're funny. Yeah. Yeah, but like a superstar, like who the real, like the guys worth the price of admission are.
Yeah.
And for me, like the guys on the Avalanche, like they have so many guys that are like absolutely worth seeing. Nathan McKinnon, obviously is one of them, but for me, like the guy I really love watching right now is Cale Makar, and he's the defenseman for the Avalanche, and he plays a really unique style of defenseman where he's an incredibly he's probably the best skater that's ever played hockey, which is saying a lot. The way this guy skates in basically any direction, he's so good laterally. He can turn on a dime. He's got pretty good speed. And he's got like a crazy like shot. He doesn't. I think a lot of people still think people do like that big wind up slap shot, and this guy doesn't do it. He just sort of just can. Again, I'm getting really nerdy and granular about hockey, but Kale McCarr is a guy I really like seeing, and so that's why I want to see the Avalanche do well. And I think it's good for us if like the teams that surround us are playing well. I think that should help get people even more excited about hockey here.
Do you think that the Avalanche are kind of our natural enemy when the team actually launches, or do you
I
think it's
hope
going to be
so.
Vegas? Kind of.
I think it'll definitely be those two will be more so than anybody else, and maybe
Yeah.
also the Seattle Kraken just because they're
Yeah.
also the most with the newest team. So I think those three are the teams that people will keep an eye on. The same way that us Jazz fans, we always keep an eye
Love
on
the
what the Lakers
Lakers.
or what the Lakers are doing, and probably the Oklahoma City Thunder are probably the big rivals for the Jazz. But yeah, I think the Avalanche will probably be there, and especially like if they end up naming the team like another weather system, if
Mm,
Blizzard or something dumb like that ends up winning, then I think the rivalry will be even more pronounced.
yeah.
By the way, I really hope Blizzard does not end up winning. I hope a lot of those names get get,
My
get the boot
prediction,
pretty early.
Blizzards with the Yeti mascot. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh, that would be horrible. That'd be
That's what's
absolutely
gonna. I don't.
horrific.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. But that's my
See, I just
prediction.
think that's so dumb with the Avalanche right next door to have Blizzard and Avalanche. It just feels a little too redundant to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need something that's like a little more unique. My favorite is Outlaws. I think you could do a lot of fun things with Outlaws because I think you need to think about the name, but also like what you can do with the name in terms of like
The
the
fun
show,
stuff.
the presentation you can put together. I think like leaning into like the Wild West kind
Could
of
we
thing
really
would
get a
be
shootout these days, though? That would be cool, but I don't know if it would.
shootout. That's a hockey term.
Oh,
See,
there, that
yeah,
too.
they do have
see,
shootouts, and they
they
changed the
have
rules a few years
shootouts
ago,
in
Brandon.
hockey.
Well, I mean,
They don't
like,
Yeah.
end in ties anymore. They
So
decided they
you're
didn't want to beat
you're
up
just
all right, all
making
soccer.
right.
you're making my point for me. Thank you.
Not to, everyone should go listen to your podcast. I've really been enjoying it, but believe your four selections because there's four choices right now with the
Uh-huh.
pre-bracket, I guess, the seating they're going to
Yeah.
give it or whatever. You said Caribou, Outlaw, Mammoth, and Mountaineers, correct?
Again, thank you for doing your research. Yep, that is what I said.
Yeah. I can get on board. I really like Outlaws. I heard an argument that would be better reserved for a baseball team if we got one. But now talking about the shootout, it's got to be Outlaws. Like
Yeah,
that's
see?
pretty cool. I
Not
really
bad,
like
right?
that. But I also really like Mammoth. I'm not gonna speak to your other
Mammoth's not
two
bad.
because I have feelings about those, but not in the positive. But
Okay.
Mammoth is cool.
Well, we're keeping things light right now, so let's not. And this is what's going to be fun is in a couple months. These arguments are going to get very heated. People on Twitter are going to draw sides. It'll be like when the Utah BYU football game rolls around every year, how
Mm,
Mhm.
or how it used to be, how that was a little uncivil.
bring it
Expect the
back.
same with this. Yeah, I'd
Bring
say
back the
make it
Uncivility.
make it a little nasty. It's kind of fun.
We'll be in our corner doing a shootout, and everybody's trying to fight us with their
Hmm.
Yeti, which isn't even real.
See, and it's funny. I didn't even bring up the shootout point in any of my podcasts, but now I'm gonna take this piece of paper and write it down so I don't forget because it's a pretty good point there.
I already have the URL. Don't steal
Damn it! Shit.
it.
What's
Going
what's the
all.
diff?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws?
This is a joke.
Yes,
Uh,
outlaws are wanted. Chink. Come on.
yeah. Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
That was I laughed. I really did.
That's a
So the Vegas Golden Knights have pretty cool stuff they
It's a
do.
show.
It's a
Yeah.
show, right? And
Yep.
I think it would be awesome if we could incorporate it as well with whether we have Outlaws or whatever other team we have.
Hmm.
What kind of traditions would you like to see in Utah? I mean, I think,
Um. I
there's
mean, what?
games that have teams and that have songs or, things like that, like
Yeah.
kind of traditions that I think we should incorporate. Do you have any ideas or any feelings?
Yeah, there's a couple. When I think of the Golden Knights, there's a couple things they do at their games that I really like. Um, it just kind of the easiest way I could explain it is like it's almost like medieval times
Right.
before they play the game, and it's cool because
yeah.
they have a mascot guy, the Golden Knight, and he sort of has this narrative arc that he's battling throughout the whole season, and they do a really good job of building a story around that with
That's so cool.
video and the presentation before the game. And I mean what they can project onto the ice to help tell the story. And it's a physical character who actually is moving on the ice and battling a Kraken character or I guess a coyote or something like that. I would like to see like a story like that people can sort of like you don't need to know
Follow
what
along
hockey
with.
is. Yeah, it's medieval times. You don't need to know the rules of jousting to enjoy medieval times.
Right.
I think that would be great. I mean, the other thing Vegas does really well is they lean in heavy to the culture of the area. At the same
Mm,
time, they struck a really nice balance there, sort of telling the story of a Golden Knight who is in Vegas. And you go to a Golden Knights game and they have the showgirls with the big kind of feather hats. The music is very much Las Vegas. There's a lot of neon lights in the show. It's just kind of the perfect storytelling that they have there with like leaning into the mascot and where they are. And I hope that's what we do here. And I think Utah's in a weird place where I don't think we really have our culture very defined anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think we really know who we are. I think, there's so for so long we've just been the weird Mormon state. And I think
Embrace some of that too, though, right?
a little bit. Yeah,
A little bit of the
absolutely. I think
pioneer
that,
heritage,
yeah,
maybe.
and I think you can. I think you can maybe like have a character based on like guys like Porter Rockwell
Oh
or
yeah.
like
Oh,
something like that.
it's
See,
got to be Outlaws, man. It's got to be
I'm
Outlaws.
making good points here, right? So, I just hope we see like something that like is not only cool, like what it like that other people outside of Utah would find cool.
Yeah.
That doesn't really interest me. I want it to be like something that like is uniquely ours and like tells our story and that kind of way. That's what I really hope they accomplish with the name.
Yeah. I think either way they can, as long as they can flesh it out, have a good, like you said, good production, good
Hmm.
mascot. I think we can have a good product.
Yeah.
I was all Yetis at the beginning. I've turned on that, and I really hope that's not. I think it's still going to end up being that because people are pretty sold on it.
Hmm.
But
Well,
either
I have a
way,
conspiracy theory on that actually.
let's hear it.
I think the game's a little rigged, the
The
voting game. Hmm.
yeah.
My theory is they already have the finalists drawn up,
Mm,
Oh yeah.
logoified.
Oh yeah.
Um, they like I think some of these names have been inserted as like dummies or maybe litmus tests
yeah.
to see who really
Some of them are terrible.
oh horrific, like apocalyptically horrific. And like we're not gonna have a team called the
Oh
Utah
wait, that would be
Ice.
a
I'm
cool
sorry.
The Utah Apocalypse. That'd be a cool name. Now that
That
you
would
bring
be
that
cool.
up.
Yeah, yeah, but we're not, I don't want the team to have like an arena football name. I don't want it to have like a generic name that you could put on any like 12-year-olds like AAU basketball jersey.
Yeah.
It's got to be elite, like a really well-defined name.
Right.
And I just have no trust in people either in the voting
Right.
process. I really don't. I mean,
No.
I don't know if you follow politics, but we're not doing great the last decade plus. Making choices in this
Even if you
country.
don't follow politics, you'll know that.
Yeah, and I'm not
Voters in the
saying I'm not.
same.
And that's to be clear. I think people on both sides are politically are stupid. So I don't. I just don't trust the power of decision making in
No.
this population.
I only trust
No.
Ryan Smith right now.
They're going to use the same voting system that they used for the last election, so it's
Yeah,
rigged.
Pete
So,
Buttigieg is is going to rig the game for this one.
Oh
yeah, it
man.
totally be. I still
Uh,
want Utah Jazz hands to be
The
their
Utah
name.
Jazz
why
hands.
not?
That would be
Yeah,
that'd be
maybe
awesome.
it should just be stupid. Yeah, who
Yeah,
cares?
let's just go with it.
We're taking
There's a
this
lot
too.
you
So
can do.
yeah, hockey team, McHockey team, or whatever. Yeah,
McBoatface or
What
whatever.
wasn't
yeah.
an option like the Utah hockey team? Wasn't that like one of the
UTHC.
Utah HC,
just
which I
call it
believe
Utah
now
hockey?
stands for Utah Hillary Clinton, and that's a plug for my last episode of the show.
That it
You
is.
listen to the episode, yeah, then you'll
Oh.
know what I'm talking about.
Go to the polls.
Hmm.
If
Pokemon
you're
go to the polls.
against us, you might end up dead.
Hey, maybe.
Maybe. So I like
I,
the Outlaws. I'm okay with that. I'm on board with that one now. But
Okay,
I think
I'm
there's a
glad I
lot
could
you can do
convince
with
you.
that.
Yeah,
I feel like either there's an outlaw team in my roller league or there's one in my ice league.
they
That's
better
something
not have
that's
the URL. If they do, they're in for a nice payday.
nice payday. Not gonna
URLs
be
go a
20
long way.
bucks.
there you
URLs
go.
are everything. That's the one thing I've learned from this project.
Man, we don't even have a URL yet, Nate. We better
You
get on
got to
that.
get it.
Utah, we're known to be a nice people, generally.
Hmm.
It is not the case with our sports teams, though. The Delta Center for the Jazz tends to be one of the most hostile environments. For
Hmm.
this team, do you want us to embrace the nice, sweet,
No,
welcome to
No,
Utah?
no. Have
no,
you been to a
absolutely
Grizzlies game, Brandon?
no,
Yes, I
We don't.
have.
no.
It's
Want to be the worst fans, right?
we want to be horrific.
Yes.
We want to be. I mean, not like a Philadelphia fan, but we want to show the passion.
Yeah.
I think if we show like similar Jazz passion in a hockey atmosphere, the visiting players are going to really respect that a lot because we're going to see like a really big divide in like how different the players, respond to things from the NBA to the NHL.
Yeah.
Totally different worlds. I think the Utah hockey team is going to be a way bigger free agent destination, especially if the facilities come together
Yeah.
the way Ryan Smith has them planned. But no, we need to be mean. I think that's another tradition. We should come up with something to throw on the ice.
Yes.
When we're displeased
Dirty
or after a
soda.
goal. That
Crickets.
would be crickets could be funny. A dirty Diet Coke would be very funny. Like, the
Oh,
Red
that would
Wings
no, no,
have the octopus and no, why be nice? You know what
Why?
I mean?
Yeah.
Why?
There's no fun in that.
Why? I mean, obviously, keep it within the bounds of good taste, right? But no, we should be loud. We should be passionate. We should be interested in what's happening and want our team to win. And that's going to happen. That's going to be the fun part because I know that's going to happen.
Not to
Yeah.
divide us further, but Nate and I are both BYU fans. Kind of getting the vibe you're not there, but the BYU
You
games,
caught it, nailed it.
yeah. But anyway, the BYU games, they're like known for being nice, giving the other team ice cream.
No,
Like I
not
get
gonna
why
do
they
that.
do that,
No way.
for the image of the
It's a
shirts and
missionary
stuff.
tool. Yeah.
But
No,
for our
we're not
hockey
going to
team,
convert
other
anybody
teams,
at our barn when they come to
no,
the Delta Center. We're not sending the other teams home with crumble cookies. We're going to send them
no pass along
packing with
cards.
an L. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you? It's been years since I've sat in the north south end zone at a Real game, but I'm like,
Something like that.
there
Yeah, in the whole building.
the whole section would be kicked out of a Jazz game within
Yeah,
seconds. But
yeah,
but
and
Grizzly
maybe
games they can get
deservedly.
pretty fun. The chance they do. So it's you guys are too young to remember when the Grizzlies, well, hockey came back to Utah and they were playing at the Delta Center.
Yeah, it's
Were you
funny.
guys too young for that?
I have a VHS of the back-to-back championship
Golden Eagles.
commemorative tape. No, the Grizzlies. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
Grizzlies.
I have a VHS that celebrates the whole 1996 Turner Cup championship
Yeah. But
victory.
that
Yeah,
was
when
like,
Tommy Salo was the goalie. Yeah,
but going to those games back then, I mean, they would get a decent crowd at the Delta Center, and they were winning too, so I think it's easier. But
yeah.
and it was something different. But those games were fun, and the Delta Center's loud when you get
Mm-hmm.
that many people in there. But they were fun games to go to back in the, like you said, 95, 96. Was it, or the 96 when they came back? Anyways,
Around there.
um, and so I'm excited to. I mean, going to a Grizzly game, it depends on which level they're playing at the time. So you can have anywhere from 300 fans to 10,000 fans, depending
Mm-hmm.
on what
Yeah,
level they're
really.
playing at. But I think having the NHL come, I mean, it's just a different, it's so fun to be at least 15,000 people in there chanting, screaming, yelling. It's gonna be a party. It's like you say,
Yeah.
going to a Jazz game, you can get in trouble just for saying you suck, LeBron or whatever, and they could kick you
Mm-hmm.
out of the game. But
Yeah.
it's a little
Well,
different for hockey.
there's some history they have to confront with that, and there's a lot of dynamics in play at a Jazz game that they have to be cognizant of. But I think Ryan's aware that it's a different game in
Yeah.
hockey, and I think it naturally attracts a different audience. And so yeah, I think that'll be something to watch. I think yeah, I don't know how it'll turn out. It's been funny to do this and notice a bunch of other people doing doing similar things that I'm doing. I think I've seen like 4 or 5 new Utah hockey podcasts pop up on Twitter in the last couple weeks. It doesn't bother me at all. I like it. I think it's fun. I think there's like a new economy here
Yeah.
of people who are interested in this. Trying to develop the abundance mentality. There's room for everybody to succeed.
Sure.
I mean, our state's growing so fast. People are going to want to consume as much content as possible about this, and it's a growing population. I think you guys would do a terrific job. I really do. I'm a little threatened, obviously,
Right.
that you'll bring the audience you already have over, and that was a big reason why I was imploring you to let me on. I
Right.
was sending messages ad nauseum, asking if I could come on and plug the show, SLC Puck, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. But no, there's people are excited about this. There's room for everybody to sit at the table. But I hope you go to SLC Puck first, is what I would say to
Yes.
anybody listening.
You did it first, so we're gonna say go to you first, but when ours starts, hopefully we'll get a couple people filtering in. But
Yeah,
until then, we're happy to have your podcast. Like I said, loving it. Keep up the great work. We're
thank you.
happy to listen. First thing when it drops, hear your take on what's going on, because there's constantly news, and that's why we have to keep
Hmm.
talking about it. There's always something new. So
For sure.
thanks for taking the time to talk with us and teach us a little more about this new hockey team we're getting.
Thanks for having me. It's great, guys.
Yeah.
Go Outlaws.
Go
Go Outlaws.
Outlaws.
I'm doing finger guns right now.
Maybe
Yeah.
we can get some kind of like who's that Looney Tunes guy?
Yosemite Sam.
Yes.
Sam.
Let's get that. Let's get some licensing. Get that guy in there too.
I think so.
So at what point do we pull the plug on this is a place and just fully embrace the hockey thing? Or do we just create a new podcast?
Do we do
We
this
the
is
two
a place? This is a place.
This is a
and-
puck.
Oh, stop it. This is a place for your hockey news.
Mmm.
This is a place for your hockey knowledge.
Yeah. I like it.
Or we just put it in parentheses when we're doing hockey episodes. This
We
is a
just do
place.
like it's like a bonus Patreon exclusive hockey episodes to listen to us knowledgeable experts know everything before it happens. I don't know.
Or we could just say this is a place for your sports. Like we just know everything
Ooh.
about all the sports.
Well, no, that's kind of bordering on Austin's going to sue us because he had This Is the Place Sports. So we can't be This Is a Place Sports. I don't know. It's tricky. It's really tricky.
This is a place, and like I said, in parentheses,
But think
for all
about
your
it.
sports needs.
We could be the one-stop shop for all sports. We could talk Jazz, Utah hockey team, even Real Salt Lake, the upcoming baseball team. Who even needs sports radio when you've got us?
Right.
Hmm.
With all of our connections and
You
knowledge.
remember like, in the football season when I sent you a text message, I was just feeling so excited, so jazzed about BYU. It's like, dude, we're in the Big 12. These are great times. Let's do like a Monday morning recap of college sports. And then BYU went and got demolished by Kansas, and I was like, never mind. I don't want to do that anymore.
We're good. Let's do it. I think that's, I mean, I guess we should have asked Austin when we were talking to him, but I wonder what it's like to be at Sportscaster when you are such a fan of a team and then having to go and talk over and over again. I guess if you did the news, we had to keep telling the story over and over. It'd be different if you're writing a story or doing an interview or podcast, but having to talk over and over again about the loss. Because sometimes when your team loses, especially a big game, I just don't want to even like when BYU lost in the NCAA tournament, it ruined March Madness for like the next week for me. Like I didn't even want to watch basketball anymore because I was so
Same.
upset. So, and the football is the same way every year. So, that's why I don't know.
I
That's
couldn't
why
do it.
it's the double-edged sword with college sports. I think that's why I enjoyed pro sports so much. Like the Broncos, if they lose, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. We're not playing for a ranking or for a stupid bowl game where you can still make the
Right.
playoffs. So there's still hope.
Right.
But it's harder with college sports when you're a big fan. And even with the Jazz, like back when they used to make the playoffs, it was so hard to like watch the rest of the playoffs after they lost because I'm like, I put so much of my good energy into them and they let me down.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna happen with the Outlaws.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
Year one. Okay, maybe not year one, but give us a little bit. People are gonna come into our barn, as they call it. I made fun of that when we did the Grizzlies episode. Remember, I'm like, why are they calling it a barn? I don't know nothing about hockey. But when they come here, they're going to deal with a hostile environment. There's going to be lots of shootouts. It's going to be it's going to be crazy. And we're going to dominate, hopefully. But either way,
Um,
I'm excited. Excited to have some people that are teaching me a little bit about hockey, breaking the news cuz there's a lot going on right now. It's good to have a source and a place you can find out the deets.
my
So,
only hope is that the momentum we have right now with the excitement and everybody wanting to go to the games, that it continues for for a while
right.
because we are known for being bandwagoners
Oh yeah.
in Utah.
I will
So
fully admit that I'm a Utah Jazz bandwagoner. Like I don't have another team, but again, I'm not going out and watching every regular season Jazz game.
no,
I'm
no, but
not
when
following
they're
it. I've got updates on my phone to let me know if they win or lose. Great. That's usually good enough. And when it comes to the playoffs, I'll engage a little bit. So I am a bandwagon in that regard, but I agree with you. I think, I don't know, maybe at the end of all this, I'll be a bigger Utah hockey team fan than I even ever was as a
maybe we
short.
can get a hockey song too. Do
A
you know the
hockey
Real
song?
song? Do you know Real? We have a song.
Is it the Ole Ole?
No, if you believe, then just stand up on your feet
Mm,
and shout it out, Real. I think that's it. Here at the riot, the battle has begun. We're here for RSL. Yeah, some
that's
guy wrote it,
cool.
and they sing it. You'll hear it at
That's
the
actually
game.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun chant.
One thing I neglected to ask Austin that I wanted to is, some teams have a song. They'll come out to a song or they'll play certain songs, right? What's going to be Utah's song? And why?
I'm wanted, dead or alive.
No, not that one.
No,
No, not that
not
one.
doing. Is that Young Guns? Is that the name of the movie?
I don't want it to be that song.
No.
No.
Regulators, mount
Ooh.
up. Who is the college football team that comes out to enter Sandman?
Isn't it Virginia?
Something like that, or
Ah, look at me. Virginia Tech. Close enough. Virginia Tech comes out to enter Sandman. I don't know. Should we do like Come Come Ye Saints? Is that a good one to come out to?
hmm we thank you, oh God, for our prophet.
Our prophet Ryan Smith. I can't even begin to guess. I do think we need to have a songs, an identity. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be so much
I
fun.
think you and Austin basically convinced me because if you have I really think it's going to be the Blizzards and the Yeti just because
I think
if
people have soured on it, to be honest. Like I think that's how it was. But the
you think
more
there's
people have said it and like thought about it, like they've turned against it. They're like, this is like a Disney team. Like it's
yeah, kind of like the Mighty Ducks.
yeah, it's like a Disney logo. Like don't do Yeti.
But you're right. What do you do? I mean, like the Knights, like he talked about, it's
There's
really
so much more
cool.
you can do with Outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you could even still like the Wyoming football team's mascot or Wyoming, University of Wyoming's.
oh no,
Isn't
not
he?
that.
Well, that's why I
No.
picture is some like cowboy, but you could have that. You could have a
Here,
real person.
I'll send you a picture of one that I saw. It's not like the best one, but it gets me the idea. I saw it's probably like an AI generated image, but I was like, okay, that looks cool. Because the thing I worry about, my biggest worry with Outlaws is the color scheme. Because I want it to be the colors, the blues, the purples.
Oh no, you'd have to go like the black
But
and the
look at this. This one works.
true, but that's still too cartoonish.
Well, yeah, it's AI, but so if we're gonna go Outlaws, just please cool colors, purples, blues. That's what I'm asking.
That's true. I mean, it'd probably be easier for the transition if you're going to be using the same arena as the Jazz to have the same color scheme.
Yeah,
If there's any,
and people love it. It's unique. It should be our Utah unique identity. our color, like how all the Pittsburgh teams are black and yellow, you know?
Yeah, there you
We
go.
should be purple and blues or whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
Just the purples and the blacks, I think it looks cool. So, that's my only concern. It's funny because our look at our logo for our podcast, it's like that orange color. Which, to be honest, when I commissioned that, I was like, "No, not the orange."
Really?
Yeah, because it's Utah. It's the arches, the red rocks, like that's just kind of where you go to when you think of Utah. And I just hope that that's not the logo. That's not the color scheme of the team. As long as we can get away from that, I'll probably be good with whatever team name comes up in the end. Even if it's Yeti, even if it's Blizzard, I'll still stand behind it as long as the cools are as long as the colors are cool. That's what I'll say. But as it's been established, well established here, Outlaws is the way to go. Have some shootouts. It's awesome. It'll be so good.
Well, that's just, I mean, because do you know how overtime works now in the regular season?
In the regular season,
Yeah.
yeah, I know how it works.
So they have one do or die
Right,
overtime, and if nobody scores, then they go to a shootout now
right,
instead
right.
of just playing forever.
Uh-huh.
So could you imagine like what you could do to pump up the crowd? With like,
Yosemite
it's time
Sam,
for a
dude,
shootout. Pew, pew, pew,
throw
pew, pew.
him up there. Oh,
It'll be fun.
I'm so convinced, dude. I think either way they'll do some cool stuff. It's a great they can establish some great traditions from the beginning and it'll be fun. I can't wait to go to some games. Just can't wait. But the bad thing is we're gonna have to wait a year until that identity gets established because it's gonna be a year of just the Utah hockey team, you know? It's lame, but if it's gonna take some time to get us something established and something real cool, it's worth it. It'll be worth it. So,
We got a team. That's
we
all that
got a
matters.
team.
We got a team.
Is everybody sick of hearing us talk about hockey yet? We've done a lot of sports talk this year. A lot of sports. We did
Yeah.
Grizzlies. We did we talked about March Madness. We've talked about hockey ad nauseum. We might need to
Well,
take a break from sports
is it time
after the
to?
Real episode because I
Well,
gotta
politics is going to heat up here in the next couple months. Do you want to get into politics?
no. All right, let's stick with sports. Sorry, guys, we're gonna keep talking about sports.
We could also talk about religion too, even though we kind of
We
did.
we do enough of that.
Yes.
Our religion shows probably more than it should.
Nobody has to guess.
Nobody has to guess. Once again, we've already plugged it a ton, but check out SLC Puck. Great name. I love the logo. It's got some punks. I guess you could call them. Is that how you'd say it? Some punks playing hockey.
Yeah,
Um,
punk. You could have like Clint. Oh yeah, I'm liking the Outlaws more and more now that we talk
oh,
about
Clint
it.
Eastwood type stuff. Just think of the in-game like video screen type stuff, you know? Like you said,
Yeah,
like Clint Eastwood's. We got Sundance here,
the
dude. I
Marty
know
McFly.
I know Sundance is possibly gonna leave Utah, which is just asinine to me. Not that I go and I'm like, oh yeah, Sundance, but I like knowing it's there. Have you heard about that?
Oh, I know. Well, that's another topic, but my
But
question is, do they change the name if you move it?
you have to. It's Sundance,
I know. Well, like they probably
Sundance
won't
Resort,
because
and
it already
that's
has that.
why does it have that name? Because of the Sundance
Because
Kid,
that's where it
man.
started, right? Was up at Sundance,
No,
and
but the Sundance Kid, that's where it all came from. That's the origin. That's
right.
Utah, man. So it's I don't know. You could take that, get that movie. I've never seen the movie, but any. Oh, dude, have you seen Tombstone?
It's been years, dude.
Dude,
I don't remember anything about
Tombstone. Think about it. Tombstone. You've got Wyatt Earp up there on the screen.
Young Guns.
Doc Holliday. Oh,
We got
dude.
Young Guns, and you have the crossover from Emilio Estevez to Mighty Ducks.
Oh, there you go. I don't know. I've never seen Young
I
Guns.
think I think Emilio Estevez is in it, but
There's so much you can do with Outlaws. It's the
oh, and Utah
unlimited.
and Utah in general, the whole Western
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
tie-in. So
The
yeah,
Outlaws all pass through here, man.
I'm Well, I'm going to go door to door and let people know that I need to vote for the Outlaws now. 'Cause
I'm
I
gonna
think,
go
I mean,
walk up and down downtown Disney.
downtown Disney store Salt Lake when it used to be there.
I'm gonna walk up and down City Creek, our version of downtown Disney. Thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
And this was a hockey team we just talked about.